Shalom, y'all Bashim Yashab Thumb, y'all Shamar Thun, Bashim Yashab to all the brothers and the sisters with Israelite School Universal Practical Knowledge. Start out at 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Salakia. We start out at 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York. We are all under commanding General Yana, and we are not affiliated with any other Israelite group or organization. And with that being said, right, tonight is the Wednesday night law class, right? Tonight's topic, of course, as you see from the title, is the law, God's law, statutes and commandments. They have been our solution the whole entire time. You understand? All of the struggle, the pain, poverty, everything that you see, and as you grew up, as we grew up in the Black and Hispanic communities, all of the destruction that we grew up in, the hell, which is a condition that we grew up in, that all would have been solved if we kept the laws of God. You understand? Briefly, we're going to go over a few laws, Salakia. Excuse me. Briefly, we're going to go over just a few laws, right? Dietary laws. We're going to go over laws regarding, sex, unlawful sex, right? Things like bestiality, fornication, adultery. We're going to go over things like that, along with the dietary, along with doing business with other nations, business amongst each other. Right, that's something that's real big today. Something that's very popular is black businesses, right? Which is something which is so crazy to think that during the time of segregation, blacks and Hispanics had businesses with each other, right? We functioned well amongst each other when we were segregated. When we were separate by law, by the oppressor's law, there was a time on this earth where blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians were separated unto themselves from being around the other nations. Things like Jim Crow, which was a federally mandated law, separate but equal, which is a federally mandated law in America, right? And because of that, we did amazing when we were separate, right? We're going to go on a few laws tonight that show just what, number one, to integrate is a sin. To be amongst the other nations, to live and take on their customs, that's a sin against God. Right, we were never supposed to join the other nations. Thus saith the Most High God, and that is one of the root of our problems is us joining the other nations. Right, integrating with the so-called oppressor, with the Chinese, with the Arabs, with the Japanese, choosing their gods, picking their lords. We were never supposed to do that. Dr. King failed black people, man. He failed us. The leaders in the Hispanic tribes, in the North American Indian tribes, their leaders failed them as well. The same way our black leaders like Malcolm X and Martin Luther King Jr. and Eddie Long and T.D. Jakes, the same way they failed the so-called tribe of Judah, the Negroes. You understand? They failed us the same way, man. Right? Because there's things that we've done there's things that blacks and Hispanics have done that angered the Most High God. And those things are sins that we have committed. And the reason we commit those sins is because the church, the Catholic Church, the Baptist Church, the non-denominations, the Episcopalian, the Presbyterian, they never taught blacks and Hispanics how to keep the laws of God. Another thing I wanted to talk about too, or just briefly touch on, is the North American Indians. They have before our oppressor came over here, movies in Hollywood will make the tribe of Gad, the so-called North American Indian, or the tribe of Reuben, the so-called Seminole Indian down in Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana. They make those brothers out to be spiritual, the same thing they do with the Haitians, the tribe of Levi. They make our brothers out to be some spiritual voodoo, hoodoo, mojo, priestess, and priest, right? That they were practicing some odd thing, man, that was just weird. It was weird to the oppressor. But those tribes, they knew who the hell they were, especially the tribe of Gad. Those Taino Indians that were on the island of Puerto Rico when the Columbus ship sailed over there, they said the Hebrew Credo in Hebrew to those oppressors over there. Like the brothers and sisters from the so-called northern tribes, they knew who they were even when the oppressor was here. There were some laws that they kept with them from the journey or the exodus out of the west, or out of Jerusalem, all the way over here, the voyage here to the Americas, the so-called Americas, right? Those laws are in the Bible, right? The laws of fringes and how to wear clothes, those are in the Bible. So I just wanted to touch on that because a lot of times, because of social media, because of Hollywood, and because of TV, you think that they lived a certain type of way that was, you know, fantasy, that was, you know, doing seances and prayers and all of that garbage. When that's Hollywood, man. Zombies and raising people from the dead that they say the tribe of Levi, the so-called Haitians do, that they did when they was fighting Napoleon and the French. That's a lot of garbage. A lot of that is just Hollywood, made up Hollywood, fictitious movies, right? Living forever, vampires and zombies. That stuff is not real, man, right? But we play into it because we are under the spell of our oppressor, right? And so that's something that I'll go over tonight as well. You know, the serving of other gods. I'm not saying at all that the oppressor, how he depicts our people in those movies, it's wrong how he depicts them, because a lot of that is just Hollywood. But the reason that the North American Indian fail is because of their sin against their God. The reason why the so-called Haitians, don't you know that the Haitian Revolution is one of the most famous revolutions throughout the planet Earth? One of the most talked about to this day. A military strategy from the children of slaves, right? Slaves defeated one of the so-called oppressors' greatest military generals on this earth. After Alexander, the so-called great, that devil Napoleon Bonaparte was a major influence to how America fights their battles, their Navy fights their battles. He was a renowned military leader amongst the French. And the tribe of Levi, the so-called Haitians, they defeated them. The slaves, man. Those Haitians were slaves. Shalom, my Iftar. Those Haitians were slaves, and they defeated the so-called oppressors, man. They defeated them. Now, look at the condition of Haiti today. And because all of us together, I didn't want to just pick on Levi or Reuben or Gad, all of us collectively, we sinned against the Most High God.
That's right.
The so-called Haitians, man, after that defeat, don't you know that they were forced by the French government to pay back they were forced to pay back the reparations of all those French soldiers that were lost in that war. Just like what Jamaica was doing not too long ago. Not too long ago, they had to keep paying back reparations to the British, right? To that so-called Queen Elizabeth over there in London, in the UK. Look at the condition of the people that we descend from. That's not a coincidence of why we live this condition. It's not a coincidence why we suffer this way, why we live this way. The reason is because we have sinned against our God. We've sinned against our power. And we're going to pull those scriptures today, and we're going to show blacks and Hispanics, if you want to have any type of, if you want any life outside of being poor, outside of being, and it's not just the poverty, man, it's the hell that we live in. It's one thing to be poor, and I think about this sometimes as well. As I lived in Virginia for a time being, and I went through West Virginia, do you know that those white people, those so-called oppressors in West Virginia, are the poorest people in America? They're the poorest state in America. You can look this up. Those oppressors in West Virginia are just in utter despair. But for some reason, Eliashah, they have more pride and more dignity than the brothers that's in Flint, Michigan.
That's right.
Like their poverty, being poor for them is something totally different. Something totally different. You see poor white redneck trash everywhere throughout all 50 states. From Montana to California all the way up to New York. But somehow they still have more pride than a poor Hispanic or black. They have more self-respect. They have enough they're smart enough to know that they have white privilege, even in their poverty. Do you realize that the state that pushed for Donald Trump to be president the most was West Virginia? One of the 50 states that was pressed the most to make sure in 2016 Donald Trump became president was West Virginia, which is full of nothing but redneck, white trash hillbillies that make less than you and me, that are on more welfare and food stamps than any black woman you know. They are more Section 8 than any black woman you know, any Hispanic you know. But somehow they still have enough dignity to vote for a white racist who hates blacks and Hispanics. Because their world that they live in is not like your world, black man. Their poverty is not like your poverty.
That's right.
Their being poor is not like your being poor. They are destroyed too. But for some reason, they still can depend on the police. They still can depend. When they go and cast their ballot to vote, their vote matters. Donald Trump looks out for those white, poor, racist oppressors. You cast your ballot for Joe Biden, Barack Obama, and Donald Trump, and you are in the same condition that you've been in since slavery, the same one. But somehow the oppressor can be poor and vote. He gets relief. When those oppressors up in Ohio, when they were overdosing on opioids, don't you know that their white governor had their best interest at heart? Don't you know he made sure that none of them went to prison? He made sure that none of their children had to grow up fatherless. Now think about the crack epidemic in the 80s and the 90s. The oppressors that ruled the government, Joe Biden being one of them, who was the Speaker of the House at that time, and the President of the United States, Bill Clinton, made sure that your black father was never in the house. He made sure that your father did 3 strikes and he was out.
That's right.
He created stop and frisk. He made laws harder when you dealt crack. What happened to opioid epidemic? Those oppressors, they don't feel the pain like you felt in the crack epidemic. They don't feel the death and despair and the poverty that you felt. They don't even go to jail for selling opioids or using them like you did. You sold crack and used crack and you did time all because of a drug that the oppressor gave to you. Your world is totally different than the oppressor's world. They get protected by their government officials. You vote too, black man. You're a Democrat just like white people. You're a Republican just like white people. But yet and still, you go to prison. Yet and still, you get put to death by the cops. White people don't get put to death by the cops. They pull white people over and they let them go with a warning. They let them go with a ticket and a court date. You get pulled over. You get put to death like Philando Castile. Eric Gardner is allegedly sold Lucy cigarettes and he got put to death for it. As if he was committing the crime of the century. He got put to death for it.
Right.
Meanwhile, oppressors can steal countries and commit war crimes. There have been Navy SEALs that committed war crimes that have done no time at all because they were exonerated by who? By the President of the United States.
That's right.
You don't get exonerated. You don't go free. You do the time even if you didn't do the crime. That's the difference here in this place, man. And there's a reason why we live this way. There's a reason why, right? The first scripture we're going to go into. Go ahead, please. You had something you want to bring out?
Salak, yes, sir, if I may, Baba Kashab, because what you just said was so heavy. You said something that blacks and Hispanics will never understand unless they in the ISUPK. And the question you asked, Adawan, is like, how can the poor people in, what was that?
West Virginia.
West Virginia?
Huh.
You know, how can poor people in West Virginia feel like they're better or have more dignity and pride in who they are when they have absolutely nothing?
That's right.
How can a poor oppressor spray paint nigger on LeBron James'
Right.
house and he's worth millions?
Right.
You understand? Shut up and dribble a basketball.
That's right.
You understand? Why is that? And I was going to see, Adawan, if I may, Jeremiah chapter 2, verse 14.
Please, go ahead.
It says, is Israel a servant?
That's right.
Is he a homeborn slave? Why is he spoiled? We're spoiled because poor black leadership didn't teach us the laws of God, man.
That's right.
You understand? We are slaves because of the iniquity and the trespasses and not obeying the Most High God.
That's right.
You understand? That's why our oppressor gets above us very high and we stay down at the bottom.
Yeah, right.
You understand? And that's all I wanted to say out of one.
Damn right. Get a brother a hand because that's the absolute truth. Right, the wrong thing as I left the house. Damn right. That's the absolute truth. Is Israel a servant? Is he a homeborn slave? Read that scripture again.
Jeremiah chapter 2, verse 14. Is Israel a servant? Is he a homeborn slave?
Like, we are not supposed to be slaves.
The
The oppressor is supposed to be our slave.
That's right.
We're not supposed to be filling up the jail cells. The oppressor is supposed to fill up the jail cells. Who is a bigger criminal than them? But the Bible says that Israel is asking the question because, and this is the reason why he's asking the question, because of the condition that we're in.
That's right.
At the time of Jeremiah, we've been in the same predicament, in the same condition. That was a big one that flew.
What is that?
It looked like it's a fly, Salakia.
He gotta go.
Yeah, that's a huge. That's like a horse fly, brother. That thing get on you, brother. That's gonna attack. That's gonna put Guy brother. That's what we gotta live with. We gotta live. We gotta be vexed by flies. Donald Trump don't gotta be vexed by flies. It's back there in the back. Oh no, there you go. Donald Trump don't gotta be vexed by flies. You understand? Donald Trump, he has servants. to help him in slavery.
That's right.
The oppressor had a little 10-year-old boy that will go and with a fan would hold the fan above him just to make sure flies don't come near him. Like, is Israel a slave? Are they a homeborn servant? Oh, it's open. Okay, Khan.
Wide open.
God. Is Israel a slave? Is he a homeborn servant? Why is he asking that? Because look at how we live our lives. Don't you realize that when the oppressor, when he doesn't like a politician, he can vote the politician out of there.
That's right.
When you don't like something, you've had the same leadership since the 50s, the Black Christian Church. They've caused more death, more harm, more murder, more destruction, more molestation, more assault, more diseases than any organization on the earth.
Right.
But yet you have had the same leadership since then, after the lifestyle you lived, after being abused like we were abused, after being in slavery. We have the same leadership, not the oppressor, because the oppressor is not a homeborn slave like us. Why else is he asking the question? Because it's almost like you want to live in this predicament. You mean to tell me that all of the years that you witnessed blacks and Hispanics smoke crack and drugs and heroin and be alcoholics and be destroyed and be put to death by the cops, be put to death by racist white men without a cop's badge and a gun, after the years that you witnessed this life that blacks and Hispanics have to suffer, and we still want to get high? You witness a man overdose on the same drugs that you love and you still want to get high. You see a sister become a whore or a prostitute or a slut, and you still want to be a city girl? Is Israel a slave?
Right.
Are you a homeborn servant? We live in a predicament. We live in a condition that nobody else could handle, yet we think it is normal. The cops show up, they put you to death, and you think that it's another day. It's another day at the office. Your sister just overdosed, and that's another day. You pray, you go to the funeral, and you keep living like nothing has happened. Philando Castile's wife and daughter had to witness him being put to death and murdered in cold blood right in front of their eyes.
That's right.
And they had to get up the next day and live the rest of their lives as if nothing has happened. No justice, no reprimand, no nothing, but living like it is normal. Are we a slave? Are we a homeborn servant? Like, keep going.
Got another one, Khan. Verse 15. The young lions roared up.
Oh, let's say you could drop that, all right?
Khan.
So are we a slave? Are we a homeborn servant? Why? Because look at how we live our lives. Here's the good news, brothers and sisters. Israel is not a slave or a homeborn servant.
That's right.
You know what we are? We are the princes of the power. The problem is we don't live our lives like that. We don't live our lives to show the world who we are. Everybody thinks we're a homeborn servant. Why? You must like getting killed so much. You still get high.
That's right.
After all of the overdoses. Do you know people still smoke cigarettes? Still smoke cigarettes after having lung cancer. They still do it. You still have unprotected sex after the AIDS epidemic, and you are a homeborn servant. You were made to be this way.
That's right.
That's what the Bible is asking. Are you made to be this way, or are you somebody better than that? Are you somebody better than that? Here's the good news, brother. You are somebody better than that. The problem is, thanks to the church, you were never taught how to be better. So, like, you were never taught how to be better than how you live your life today.
That's right.
But here's the Isupk under Command and General Honor teaching our people how to live a better life. And this is where it starts. Give me Leviticus, right? Give me. Don't eat swine, right? We're going to start with the dietary law, like I said before. And as I stated earlier, we're going to go and jump right into the sexual, I don't want to say sexual deviance, but we're going to go into the laws of who you can and cannot have sex with. Because you not following the laws of who you can and cannot have sex with, that makes you a sexual deviant, right? You ask a brother, Elisha, would you ever have sex with a horse? Would you ever have sex with another man? They will look at you like you're crazy. But they won't look at you like you're crazy after you tell them you can't have sex with a married woman. You can't have sex with a little girl. You can't be R. Kelly and make sex tapes of urinating on 14-year-old girls. They're going to be like, what? I own that tape. What? I can't look at two people have sex. I can't watch pornographic films. I can't have sex with married women. They're going to look at you like you're crazy. But then when you ask it, they're going to look at you like you're crazy because they're like, I do those things as normal. But then you say, well, would you ever have sex with a horse, brother? Would you ever put your rod inside of a goat or a chicken? They'll say, well, hell, brother, what are you? Hell no, I would never do something like that.
Right.
Well, then why are you having sex with married women? Women that have sex with men, why are you doing that? Why are you having sex with prostitutes? Why are you out there tricking and hoeing? Why are you doing that? Don't you know to God it's the same thing?
Right.
Would you ever eat a human being? That's what you ask somebody. Would you ever eat a person? Hell no, I would never eat a person. So why do you eat pork? And why do you eat shrimp? Don't you know to God it's the same thing? And that's what we're going over right now. We're going over just the law, right? To tell the law enforcement, these are the things Israel can't do. These are the things that Israel can't have. This is how you should conduct yourself. This is what you should eat. This is how you should speak. This is how they should do business. These laws were given to blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. But in the nation of Israel, they were given to the men who enforced the laws. Everybody following me, right? You in your simple mind, you believe that the laws were here, Jimmy, here, Kareem, here, Jerome. You ain't supposed to do this. Nah, that's not what happened. If you could even read then. That's not what happened. The laws were given to the men of God.
That's right.
They were given to the law enforcement, just like now. The cop comes up to you, brother, and I don't know why they do this. Do you know why you were being stopped? I would have stopped if I knew why I was being stopped, officer. No, sir, I don't know why I was being stopped. They're going to tell you some citation dash something dash this. You don't know what in the hell that is until you go into a law library and look it up. They're going to charge in court. You go to court and you get caught with just an ounce of crack. Brother, don't you know they're going to have 15 charges against you, charges that you never knew? Why is that? Somebody answer, why is that?
Got too many air fresheners.
They're going to have so many charges on you. A long list of conspiracy. Like these brothers that, listen, you know who knows it well right now is those rappers.
Right.
I heard about Young Thug and Gunna and all of this slime and YSL gang, whatever the hell that is. They're charged with over 59 counts of the RICO Act. Organized racketeering crime. That's what it is. Organized crime. And they have tried to put, apparently, this is allegedly the leader who they say is Young Thug, he had put a hit out on another rapper, right? And so now him and the rest of his so-called gang are getting charged with 59 counts, brother. This is what I would ask somebody. Who, if the RICO Act is one charge, or if say the RICO Act comes with 10 charges, where in the hell does the rest of those 49 charges come from? Who knows? This is the answer. You don't know the laws in America.
That's right.
You don't know them. Just like you don't know the laws of God. You don't know them. And here's something that's going to blow your mind too. Guess what? When blacks and Hispanics were given the law, they were given to leaders of blacks and Hispanics. They weren't given to the average Joe, right? Which is a common misconception in the Bible. You think that the law, Moses was speaking to everybody.
Right.
That's the Christianity in your mind. There were leaders amongst Israel. There were princes. There were officers and captains that had took charge of certain areas of Israel. So when Moses received an order from the angel of God, Moses passed that order down. What is that called, Elisha? Order. Rank and order. Only something the Isupk knows. Everybody didn't have a personal relationship with God. In fact, hold where you at with the swine and the dietary law. Give me I'll find it for you. Officers of 50. Give me officers of 50. Right? There was a rank system in the Bible. There is a rank system in the Bible. Right? Give me Deuteronomy. Yes, 1 and 15. Please, brother. Give me that first. Before we jump into the actual laws and what the laws state, here's what you have to understand. That throughout the Bible, there is rank and order. There's law and order. Right? There's not you speaking to God. That's not happening. Your grandmother is not some prophetess or not some What else did that sister tell me, brother? She said she studied to be a
Deborah.
no, a minister. She called me, brother. Sister called me and said she's studying to be a goddamn minister. What was the word she used? An ordained minister.
Ordained minister.
She's studying to be an ordained minister, Elisha. She's studying to be an ordained minister. She's studying to be a prophetess like Deborah. And so many times because of the church and the brainwashing of the church, you think that that's real life. Like, yeah, I can talk to God. God sends me prophecies. The problem is you don't have a relationship with God.
That's right.
That's your own silly mind talking to you. That's Satan talking to you. That's what's talking to you, Satan. The Lord is not speaking to you individually.
That's right.
Even here in the Bible. And we're about to read it right now. Read.
Deuteronomy chapter 1, verse 15. So I took the chief of your tribes, wise men, and known, and made them heads over you, captains over thousands.
Read that part again.
Captains over thousands.
So this is Moses, right? The leader, the man that God set in charge over Israel. Nobody will dispute that. But here's what they will dispute. Well, it was a relationship that Moses had with God. Nah, man. This is the thing. Christianity makes everything sound so LGBTQ soft. And that's not the case in the Bible. That's not the case. The Bible, it establishes a rank and order, which is so manly. A rank and order system is so manly, it's so masculine, and it's very godly. You understand? So this is all that Moses did. Moses was the man that God set up. Moses ain't speak to God directly. Moses spoke to the angel of God.
That's right.
The angel of the God gives an order to his angel. That angel delivers this message to this man of God. The man of God goes, he delivers the messages to who?
Captains over thousands.
He delivers them to captains. Keep going.
And captains over hundreds.
Keep reading.
And captains over 50.
Keep going.
And captains over 10.
Keep reading.
And officers among your tribes.
He delivers them to captains and officers.
That's right.
That's what's in the UPK. Not deacons. Not bishops. We have the ranking system that's right here in the Bible.
That's right.
Captains and officers. Generals of 12 shield generals, 6 shield generals, captains of 10,000, officers of 5,000, officers of 50, of 100, of 500.
That's right.
That's what we have in the UPK.
That's right.
Man, we have the same order system as the Bible seems to me. I didn't see where you set deacons up over nobody, Elisha, to be somebody in charge of anybody. I don't see. What is the other one? Bishops. I don't see that.
Bishops, deacons.
I don't see that. I see officers and captains.
That's right.
These are men of war that are responsible for these people here. Being a captain of 10,000 makes you responsible for 10,000 men effective immediately and their families. Being an officer of 500, it makes you responsible of 500 men and their families effective immediately. That's what that means. It's not light to have rank in the ISUPK. It wasn't light to have rank in the Bible. Everybody understands.
That's right.
This is order, and this is where the UPK gets their rank structure from, the Bible.
That's right.
Everybody understand.
Kind of the kind.
Keep going.
Verse 16. And I charge your judges at that time, saying, hear the causes between your brethren.
There's judges in Israel.
That's right.
You understand? Not deacons. They are not elders. They are judges, men of God, who judge weighty matters. You have a dispute, which all of us will have at some time between another brother or another sister. It has to be judged. Why? Because it's in our laws. Precept. If you have a offense, if your brother have caused you if you offended a brother or a brother offend you, go to he and thee alone. If they don't hear you, you have to go to where? A council. What's in a council? A judge.
That's right.
That's what's in a council. The council is you setting it up with the brother or sister. The judge is presiding over the council. And in the ISUPK, General Mahayaman, he's in charge of councils in the ISUPK, under commanding General Yohana. What he says is the final decision. He's made his judgment. It's final. That's a judge, Ak. And we have perfect judges in the ISUPK. Judges that won't judge a matter based on race, like the judges in the world or our oppressors' law system does, justice system does. The judges in the oppressor's justice system, brother, Judge Mathis calls somebody a crackhead in a second. He makes a judgment off of if you smoke crack or not. Not in here. The brother that's the crackhead could be right. Who knows? Until you go to council to figure it out. Because we don't have respect of persons in the UPK. You understand? And this is what Moses set up in Israel because he received an order from God to do so. Everybody understand? This is how you prevent black on black crime. This is how you prevent child support. This is how you prevent sexual assault cases. This is how you prevent brothers going to prison for years unjustly. Think about how many black men since the 60s. You can just look this up, but it's like over 150 black and Hispanic men who have served over 20 years' time for something that they never did. You got Corey Bush, the brother up there in New York, the Central Park 5. That was a brother who did time in the hole. I think he did like 5 years in the hole, all for a rape he never committed.
Right.
The brother Khalif Browder, and this is in modern day. This is not even back in the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, and 90s. This is modern day time now. This is just, 5 years ago, 6 years ago? Khalif Browder, I think, was 2012. That was 10 years ago. That's not 50 years ago. That was 10 years ago. The brother Khalif Browder, he did 3 years in Rikers. 3 years in Rikers Island for what, Elisha? For a theft that he never committed. A theft he never committed. And guess why he was sitting in Rikers Island at 16 years old? You know why? Because in America, the justice system is so... You're promised a speedy and fair trial in America, Elisha. That's what the oppressor says that he promises people that are American citizens. You're promised a speedy and fair trial. That brother rotted in the goddamn hole, a prison full of grown men in Rikers, a damn animal house, as a 16-year-old boy for a crime he never did, simply waiting on trial. That's why he was in Rikers for the whole time he was in Rikers is not because he was sentenced to a time. Like usually, if you're doing time, you got sentenced by the judge. All right, I sentenced you to 58 months in prison. I sentenced you to 32 months in prison, and they are to run concurrently, or they are to run alongside the sentence you already spent in the county jail here at the such and such Jackson County Jail. That's my final judgment, and they bang the gavel. This brother, Khalif Browder, he got picked up in a goddamn back of the police car. They took him to Rikers at 16. They processed him in, and 3 years later, somebody said, what is this? This cat is 19 years old. Why has he been in Rikers in solitary confinement for 3 years? He hasn't even had trial yet, Elisha. The poor brother didn't even go on trial. Come to find out, he never even committed it. And guess what the damn crime that they say he committed was? Stealing a backpack. That's what it was. The police said that they got a report that somebody stole a backpack. And of course, 16-year-old boys walking home from school don't carry backpacks. So they picked up the first 16-year-old high school boy they saw that was black or Hispanic with a backpack. And took him to Rikers Island for 3 years, brother. The white man is the devil.
That's right.
And his justice system is not just. It's biased based on your class, how much money you make, your sex, your race. It is absolutely biased. Not in Israel. In Israel, it is not biased. No matter what your rank is, no matter what your status is in life, you are promised justice.
That's right.
You are promised that, man. That's something that is owed to. That is not owed to you. I don't want to say that. Justice is something that is fair for anyone, no matter who you are. So you could be a crackhead and get a counsel in the UPK if somebody did you wrong. You could be a baby mama with seven baby daddies, be a monster, and you could be right in the council. Somebody could have really offended you, and you were right. And here we don't care or look at status and all of that garbage because this is the justice or the judges of God,
That's right.
Not of man.
That's right.
You depending on the oppressor to be your help. He can't help you. He's biased.
Right.
You got to have money in order for him to help you. You got to be a big behind woman that is going to have sex with him behind closed doors in those judges' chambers like so many of them do. And those lawyers too. If you want real help. In the UPK, a man of God, brother, just be alive and request help and you're going to get help.
Damn right.
Nobody cares about how much money you make or what you look like or none of that garbage. Brother, get help from the ISUPK.
That's right.
Not the church. The church is in bed with the leaders of the oppressor. They're in bed with the leaders like Joe Biden. They're in bed with leaders of Planned Parenthood. Planned Parenthood gives black churches money. They give the Democratic Party money. The same people that oppress you and kill your babies, the church are in bed with. Go figure. So you can't get help from them. You damn sure can't get help from the black Muslims. He's in bed with Scientologists who agree with abortion.
That's right.
Minister Farrakhan, the leader of the Nation of Islam, he agrees with abortion. He agrees with Scientology. He agrees with Christianity. And he admitted that he never should have been a Muslim in the first place. So what in the hell are you doing there? You're not going to get help in these places. Here is the place that you receive real help.
That's right.
Help that only God could give you.
That's right.
Go ahead, Ak. You had something you want to say?
Kind of the kind, sir. If I may, out of wine, you dropping it so heavy. You know, bringing out the scripture that we're in about the rank and the order and how Israelites, if you're a Christian, man, I just got a question for Christians. You understand? Christians are our people. You understand? We love blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, but we try to get our people to realize that Christianity is absolutely wrong.
Right.
So I just want to say, like, you know, because Christians say this. They don't want order.
Right.
Nobody can tell them what
That's
to do.
clear in the church.
That's clear in the church. You know, they have their own personal relationship with God.
Right.
You understand? That's clear as day that they believe in that. And they also say that, you know, well, you can't judge us for what we do.
That's right.
When in the Bible, Yahweh Jesus out his own mouth said that you will get judged. Right. There will be counsel.
That's right.
You understand? In Matthew, he said,
right.
You know, whoever
in the New Testament.
In the New Testament,
That's
he
right.
said, whoever is angry at his brother without a cause
will be judged. In judgment of the council of the hellfire. Brother, get it, brother.
I mean, I'm just saying. I mean, that's
absolute truth.
I mean, how do Christianity? You see the lies that are in Christianity. How do you get around that when Christ, our King, said it out of his own mouth?
That's
if
right.
If you're angry with a brother, you will be in danger of judgment and counsel.
That's right.
And we're reading in what's this, Leviticus?
Deuteronomy.
In Deuteronomy, Salakia, how the Most High set up the order.
That's right.
You know, in our nation.
That's right.
With officers, Salakia,
right.
with captains and officers, with generals, captains, and officers, Salakia. That's the order.
That's right.
That's what the Lord told us to do.
And judges.
That's
right. That's going to judge.
Kind of the cons.
That's right. Yeah, I'm right. Get a brother another hand, because that's the absolute truth. Here's the problem. Christians don't want to be told what to do. That's the problem.
Kind of the cons.
Christians don't want anybody to tell them to stop smoking weed, to stop getting high, to stop abusing those poor children. Christians don't want to be told to do anything but to have sex with who they want.
That's right.
That's the life of a Christian. You cannot tell a Christian what they've done wrong. You can only tell a Christian what he wants to hear. And that's the problem, which is why we have judges in Israel. To judge the weightier matters so that you can put a Christian to death in a righteous kingdom.
That's right.
So that if a Christian comes to you and says, yeah, I had sex with this 16-year-old girl. Well, don't you know that that's a sin against God? Did you go to her husband? Did you go to her father? No, I just caught her in the field and
oh, good night.
And I just started having sex with her. Well, brother, you got to be put to death, man.
That's right.
That's the judgment of the man of God. So now what is that going to inspire the other men that witnessed that to do? To never have sex with a woman without asking her father first. That's what that's going to do, man. Now, don't you see that these things, like the topic of the class tonight, man, don't you realize these laws of God have been the solution all along to our problems?
That's right.
Like, before we go into that, because that's, brother, it's a lot on that. We getting there. We walking our way there.
Most High in Christ.
But like you said, to your point, these are the way that this thing right here that we're reading about, this is the way that the Most High God set life up for us.
That's right.
Order, not disorder and confusion. He set it up to be orderly so that you can depend on something. If something went wrong, you could actually have a real justice system that works. Imagine being a poor brother in the back of a police car at 16. You don't have any family to call on to bail you out of jail. You don't know anything about the oppressor's jail system and how it works. You don't know anything about prison. You about to go in here with grown murderers and killers and rapists. You don't know what's going on. You're helpless God didn't design life for you to be helpless. There's help here in the UPK. And in the nation of Israel, we're reading about it now.
That's right.
That's the way it's always been. Everybody understand? That's the way that God set it up through the man he chose, Moses, to tell the people of Israel that this is the way life is going to be for us. We're not going to live life like the Egyptians and be confused and disorderly. We're going to have some order in here, man.
That's right.
We're going to have captains and officers. Every nation does.
That's right.
Black people are the only nation, Hispanics and Native Indians, that don't have judges and captains and officers that can judge matters and deliver the law to the people. We're the only people. Every other nation has judges, has a justice system, has captains, have officers, have law enforcement, have a military. We're the only people who are helpless. That's not a coincidence. That's not a coincidence. And we're reading how this is the way that God set life up for us to be. Keep going.
And verse 16. And I charge your judges at that time, saying, no.
Go ahead. Yeah, no. Keep going. You're right.
Hear the causes between your brethren, and judge righteously.
Judge how?
Righteously.
Judge how?
Righteously.
Based on how they look.
Righteously.
If they smoke crack.
Righteously.
How much money they have.
Righteously.
If they're a woman.
Righteously.
If they're homosexual.
Righteously.
If they're, if they make $1 million.
Righteously.
If they have no dollars.
Righteously.
Keep going.
Between every man and his brother.
The Bible says to judge righteously.
That's right.
Not based on sex, creed, religion, none of that garbage.
I'm right.
You're supposed to judge righteously, which is what we doing here. It could be brother, God help him. It could be an LGBT brother, LGBTQIAF, brother that comes in here. He could be in the right. He could win the judgment. You understand? He could be the brother who is the one in the right, and another brother who is a straight brother could be the one in the wrong. Because in here we judge righteously.
That's right.
We're honestly the only people who wear, what do they say in America? The justice system is supposed to be blind in America.
Oh, with
the Lady Liberty or Lady Justice, she has her hands, a blindfold over her eyes, waiting. With this brother, she is the devil the Bible speaks of.
Definitely kind of the guy.
She doesn't judge righteously.
Kind of the guy.
If you're black, you're going to prison for 25 years.
That's right.
If you're white, whether you're poor or rich, you're going home. If you lynch 3,000 black people, guess what's happening in America? Nothing if you're white. Brother, if you look at a white woman, you're getting put to death.
That's right.
That's real life in America. So Justice Lady Liberty is the devil. She's definitely not blind. It's a hole in that blindfold or something. Because she can see everything. She can see what you look like. And here, Justice is really blind, Doc. We don't look at your background or who your daddy is or none of that garbage. If you got 7 baby daddies, if you have no kids, whether you're regarded as high, whether you're not, whether you're a drug addict, whether you're not, that does not matter. What matters is who's right and who's wrong.
That's right.
That's what matters. That's judging righteously. You understand? That's what the judges of Israel were commanded to do. And we have them today in the Isupk, and the only righteous judges in the Isupk, the only righteous captains and officers and generals in the Isupk. Everybody else has deacons and bishops and pastors and preachers and imams and reverends and motivational speakers. We have men of the Lord that are going to inflict the laws of God, that are going to teach God's people the laws of God. God, I pray we could inflict the laws of God. I pray we could, but we can't. You understand? Because of Christ, and he came and he loves us all. But brother, if I got the order to not allow any more drug dealers in Kansas City, best believe, Elisha, there won't be any more drug dealers in Kansas City.
That's right.
And that's me getting into my point right now. So now we got the captains and officers. Brother, this is the point I was making with this scripture. Not only does this disprove the whole myth and the whole lie about you have a personal relationship with God, brother, there's an order in Israel. It always has been, and there always will be.
That's right.
You're never going to go to God and just start talking your silly mouth after you didn't smoke 5 blunts and blew 3 rods and had sex with the cat, the horse, the women, and the men in the block. You're not going to go now and all of the abortions on the earth. You're not going to go ask God for things and pray to God and talk to God and he speaks to you because you're just his loving child. That's not in the Bible. The Bible says that God created captains and officers. He set men up to be captains and officers and righteous judges over Israel.
That's right.
So they can oversee all of what's going on in our communities. All of what's going on with the tribe of Judah. All of what's going on with the tribe of Simeon and Levi and Reuben. Benjamin, Ephraim, Issachar. Like these men were set up over the tribes of Israel to see, so they can see what's going on, so they can prevent things from happening, so they can judge something that just happened. That's the whole point. So we can have a perfect society. Now what do you have? Imams. Now you have pastors. Now you have reverends and deacons who encourage you to sin, who encourage you to break the oppressor's law, who encourage you to break God's law. Not in the UPK.
That's right.
We encourage you to do the opposite.
Damn right.
We tell you to do the opposite. You can't have a Hebrew name in here and be the opposite of what we teach in here.
That's right.
You have to keep the laws of God and of man. If you live in the UK, guess what? You have to keep those laws. If you live in China, guess what? You have to keep their laws if it doesn't conflict with the laws of God. If you live in America, guess what? If your state says you cannot open carry a gun, guess what, Elisha? You can't open carry a gun. If you're a felon and you are not allowed to have a gun in your state, guess what? Don't have a gun. If you can't legally get one, then don't get one, man. If it says the speed limit is 65, guess what? You can't go 90. You can't go 85. You can't go 75. You have to obey whatever the law of the land says.
That's right.
And you have to obey what the laws of God say. The church doesn't teach that. The church teaches you to lie, which is not only is that a sin against God, guess what lying is in a white man's society? Lying is against the law. You ever heard of perjury? Anybody know what perjury is? Go to court. Listen, go tell the judge. The judge say, well, did you do the crime? Did you really kill those 4 men? Go to court under oath and say, no, Your Honor, I didn't kill those 4 men. It was the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit that did it. I didn't do it. I don't know what the hell happened. I was under the influence. Brother, they're going to find you to be a liar. Not only are you going to get charged for those 4 murders, they're going to charge you with a count of perjury, man.
I'm guilty.
Look, and be guilty. And guess what? That's going to be their judgment. Everybody understand? So not only is lying a sin against God, brother, you can't lie in the oppressor's society.
That's right.
You can't do it. So then why do so many Christians do it every December 25th? Because the church encourages you to lie. The church encourages you to be a lawbreaker, which is a sin in the Bible, to be a lawbreaker, somebody who constantly breaks the laws of God. That is a sin. Like, you cannot just do what you want to do. That is a lie. The church tells you you can do whatever you want. You can have sex with who you want. Come to find out, Elisha, there's laws about that too.
That's right.
There's laws about that, man. The church tells you to do whatever. You're going to do it because that is the house of Satan. And they allow you to do what you want in there. And, of course, why wouldn't you want to be someplace that allows you to live your life in love and love and kindness and raptures? Who wouldn't want to live their life in a bunch of orgasms and eating what they want and living how they want? Who wouldn't want to live their life like that? But this is what you have to realize, black man, that you're not these other nations. And you have a God that requires you to keep the laws of God.
That's right.
You have a God that won't allow you to do whatever you want.
That's
because
right.
You are his responsibility.
Damn right.
Just like any good father. Your child couldn't do whatever the hell they want to do. Imagine your child goes and, well, I can't even say that now because Dwayne Wade, he allows his son to do whatever he wants. Dwayne Wade is a bad father.
Horrible.
He's a horrible, a terrible father. God knows what he's done to that poor boy. He allows his children to do whatever they want. Will Smith is another one. They allow their kids, Floyd Mayweather, allows their kids to do whatever they want. They can go be a hoe. They can be a man, a horse, a dog, a cat. What the hell do they care? They're Christians, and Christians let you do that. But if you're a good father, if you're a good mother, you don't allow your child to do whatever they want to do.
That's right.
God is a good parent. He's a good father. He's a perfect father. He has mercy, but he also has vengeance too.
That's right.
He also has a wrath too. He also has a fiery anger, just like any father. And you disobey the Most High God, that'll be the last thing you would ever want to do.
That's right.
Just go ask 2.5 million black men sitting in the penitentiary today. Go ask those 500,000 black and Hispanic murdered babies. Go ask those sisters on the East Coast that have a higher HIV/AIDS rate than the West Coast and Sub-Saharan Africa combined. Go ask them, man. See how they're doing. See how they like disobeying the Most High God. Go ask your grandmother who had a fourth of her lung removed because she smoked cigarettes. Go ask your grandfather who rot in a prison cell because he sold drugs. Go ask your uncle who is his bones, his skin is falling off his bones from all of the homosexual sex he had. Turns out, Elisha, you can't do whatever you want to do.
That's right.
And the men of God were put in place to teach God's people these things that we're doing now. That's what these captains and these officers and these judges' job were. That's what they are now. You're learning about the laws of God right now. Guess what, Elisha? Back to my point, my main point. You wouldn't know what the laws of God were if it weren't for these captains and officers and generals and these judges of Israel. You would never know. Why? Because the laws were not given to the common man of Israel. They were given to men who had leadership, men who had a role, a position to be in charge. That's what the law was given. Moses got that law. He received the law. He received the Ten Commandments as a token from God, along with the other laws from the angel of God. And Moses told these generals and these captains and these officers what the people are supposed to follow. And guess what happens if you didn't follow them? You were punished.
That's right.
You were put to death. That's what happens, man, when you disobey God. Now, do you know all of the laws of the Bible? No, you don't. But guess who does? The Isupk does. The generals and the captains and the officers and the judges in the UPK know the entire Bible. Every word in it. You don't have to know all. You don't have to know it. Hell, you don't have to know where the Bible says thou shalt not eat pork. We're going to read it now. But guess what, brother? You don't have to know it. All you better know is what we tell you to do.
That's right.
That's what you better do. This is going to help and free so many blacks and Hispanics, because I get tired. This is now, confession is good for the soul, Elijah Salakia. I absolutely hate whenever General Muhammad has to explain himself to a sinner. Listen, I'm not perfect, Elisha Salakia. That's my guilt. That's my guilt. You understand? That's what I have to confess in front of the world today. I absolutely hate when the generals, the captains above me, such honorable men who live this thing, who live the Bible, who sacrifice their time and risk their lives just to counsel you, just to help you, and you question them on what this and that, is this right, and should Chris Rock have sex with Jada Pinkett Smith? Brother, if the generals tell you to walk on your head, why aren't you doing it?
That's right.
Commander Jenny made an order that said we all should jump out of the window right now. Brother, something must be on the other side of Elisha. If he made an ordinance right now and said, brother, we all should be, and this is something that I personally want, once again, confession is good for the soul. If he made the order that all men, when they see a general, and you know how you say, Alawat Panya, imagine getting on one knee, having your head bowed and putting your right hand over your chest like this, Elisha, and you salute the generals like that. Brother, it would be nothing that would make you, damn near nothing that would make you feel like more of a soldier and a knight than doing something like that. And guess what? If he made the order, guess what I'm going to do, Elisha? I'm getting on one knee with my head bowed and I'm saluting just like that.
That's right.
Why aren't you just doing it? Why do you have to ask to prove this and do that? Why don't you just do it? Don't you know when Eddie Long, brother, said that you don't have to, not Eddie Long, Creflo Dollar said that Satan wants you to keep the law. I heard crickets when he said that, Elisha. I didn't hear nobody get up and say, oh, yeah, Pastor Dollar, Deacon Dollar, Reverend Dollar. I know you're stealing all of our money every goddamn week. You don't work. You don't have a job. You're not giving us counsel like General Muhammad of the ISUPK,
right,
like the generals of the UPK, like the captains of the UPK. You're not buying any land to feed black people like Commander Juniana. You're not relieving us from being poor like Commander Juniana. You don't pay our rent. Why does Satan want us to keep the law? I didn't hear nobody ask Creflo Dollar that.
Right.
Why didn't you? So then why do you come to us and now we have to prove everything? Now I got to prove to you why a man can have multiple wives. Now I have to prove to you why you shouldn't eat pork, why you shouldn't celebrate Christmas, why you shouldn't celebrate birthdays. Where in the Bible does it say to not celebrate birthdays? I said don't do it. That's what I said. Now you better do it. And in a righteous kingdom, brother Salakia, if you don't do it, there's a penalty for it.
That's right.
That's the Bible that we're reading out of right now.
Damn right.
These laws weren't given to the common folk of Israel. You couldn't even read. What do you think? Why the hell do you think we have, each tribe has their own standard? Why do you think that? Why do you think the tribe of Judah has a lion? And why do you think the tribe of Ephraim has, what is it, a unicorn, a horse? A horse made for battle. That's what a unicorn is, a horse made for battle. Why do you think that? Why do you think the tribe of Reuben has a stallion? Why do you think that that's their standard? You know why? Because those symbols is how you knew what tribe to fall in line to. You would see those standards, those symbols. Guess what you would do? You would look up, I'm Ephraim, I'm going right here.
Right.
You wasn't reading anything. Nobody was coming to you saying, yeah, you know you ain't supposed to be eating shrimp. Brother, get caught with shrimp in your hand and see what's going to happen.
That's right.
Get caught being a rapist or a pedophile and see what's going to happen. Nobody had to come to tell you, don't be a pedophile. Don't be a rapist. Don't do that. No. You have sex with a woman against her will, and you'll find out what's going to happen.
That's right.
And then everybody else would know, oh, we can't. That's something we can't do. That's something you can't do. There was nobody going around, yeah, you can't do this and can't do that. Nah, man. The judges of God, the generals and the captains of officers that were established and set up by the Most High God, they were told what to do and what you couldn't do. And if somebody didn't do what you was, if somebody did something that you were not supposed to do, that we were not supposed to do, Lord be with them. And then everybody would know, I guess we can't celebrate Christmas, Elisha. I guess we can't have sex with white women. Like that brother, give me that brother in the Bible. Like that's another good one. The javelin. He had sex with a Moabite woman. He was on top of her. And Phineas came through, brother, with a goddamn javelin and killed them both. He stuck the javelin through the brother, and he stuck the javelin through the heathen woman. Now, did he know that he couldn't have sex with Moabite women, Elisha? Who knows? Guess what? He found out that day. And guess who else found out? Everybody that heard the story. You know, so-and-so was caught on top of a Moabite woman. He was having sex with Mei Ling. He was having sex with, what was the girl from Rush Hour? Su Young. He was having sex with Su Young. Guess what happened to him, Jimmy? Guess what happened to him, Kareem? You know, Phineas, he came through and stuck a javelin and killed them both, and he was honored for doing it. I guess we can't have sex with Su Young. I guess we can't have sex with Jenny Ma and Mei Ling like Young Jeezy. You know, so-and-so, he was caught having sex. O.J. Simpson was caught having sex with Nicole Brown Simpson. I guess we found out you can't have sex with white women.
Right.
He did 10 years in prison. You didn't learn that then? Emmett Till whispered, they accused Emmett Till of whispering at a white woman. Well, what happened to Emmett Till? Did you see the paper? His mama couldn't recognize his face. He was beaten so badly to death. I guess we can't have sex with white women. Right. And I guess we shouldn't look at white women. How many men were castrated and lynched, and you still prefer white women in your bed? Don't you see all of the destruction that it caused, poor brothers? Don't you know how many black men like George Steiny boys, black boys, at the age of 10 and 11 were killed and put to death and did time in jail? All for accused of looking at a white woman, and you have sex with her. You didn't learn your lesson. Nobody had to tell you not to have sex with white women. O.J. Simpson was supposed to teach you a lesson on not messing with white women. Right. Tiger Woods and Terrence Howard and Cuba Gooding Jr., who they're looking to give more time than a little bit just for squeezing white tail. Donald Trump can grab all the vagina he wants.
Right.
Cuba Gooding Jr. looks at white tail and squeezes a few of them, allegedly, and they're looking to give him all the time they have. You don't learn that you're not supposed to have sex with white women? Did anybody have to tell you not to smoke cigarettes and smoke weed? Look at the practice of people who smoke cigarettes and smoke weed, that do drugs, that sell drugs. Ain't they just the slimiest niggas you ever met in your life? People that do drugs and sell drugs. Aren't those the most selfish bastards on the earth? So why in the hell would you do it? You didn't learn? Look at all the time that Bobo got. Look at all the time that Joseph got. Look at all the time that Kareem and K-Mac got. Look at all the time that Head and them got, man. They got 50 years, 30 years for selling drugs. Well, I guess I shouldn't sell drugs. That's what you're supposed to say.
Right.
But instead, what do? Shoot, I got to get it how I live.
Kind of the kind.
It's a hard world. I'm just a squirrel looking for it. I got to get it how I live. And you go and sell drugs. Nobody had to teach you to not sell drugs. Well, guess what, brothers and sisters? In the Bible, nobody had to teach you to not be a liar. If you were found lying by a judge, guess what happened to you? You were punished for lying.
That's right.
If you were caught stealing, you were punished for being a thief. The men of God were giving the law because they were the law enforcement. Just like you don't know what they locking you up for now. You read a brother's rap sheet in there, and you're like, you got charged with this? I didn't even know what the hell that was. I got charged with count 2 of this, 3 of that, 10 of this, 8 of that. I got 50 years, and you don't know why, because you don't even know the laws in America. The law enforcement officers do. You're not a law enforcement officer, so you wouldn't know the law. I know the law. That's who knows the law. Right. The men under commanding General Yohana know the law. You're supposed to do what we tell you to do. That's order. That's order. Now, guess what? None of your daughters get molested. None of your sons go missing. None of your wives get raped. You don't get thrown in jail. All because you listen to men of God. That's the way it's supposed to be. But instead of you listening to us, guess who you listen to? You listen to some idiot like Creflo Dollar who said Satan wants you to keep the law. That's who you listen to. You listen to that idiot Martin Luther King Jr. who said what? I had a dream that black boys and black girls are joining hands together. You integrated. That's what you did. You had sex with white women. You joined hands with white women. You did more than join hands with white women. You joined everything to a white woman. Right. Your bank account, your children, your resources, your family to white women. And now look at the condition of your own people.
That's right.
They're destroyed all because of integration. It seems like integration is a sin against God. Now, I didn't go to college. I'm not the smartest person on the earth. But it doesn't seem like integration works out for any nation. Not just for blacks and Hispanics. It didn't work out for the Chinese. Didn't work out for the Japanese. Look at Japan now. Look how soft Japan is now after America conquered Japan. Now America can do whatever the hell they want to do with Japan. Japan was a land of samurais and men who fought for something. People that fought for something. Brother, they're full of LGBTQ Japanese men now. That's what they're full of in Japan now. All because what? What? All because of what? They integrated.
That's right.
The Africans, brother. Brother, I don't got to tell you. A lot of you nuts think that you are African. Well, all that history you do in Africa, look at the history of Africa.
Right.
Look how the British and the Dutch and the French and the Germans colonized South, North, West, East Coast Africa. And look at the condition of the Africans now. You niggas love talking about Shaka Zulu and the Egyptian Empire and all of this garbage. Well, what happened after they were colonized? They don't look too powerful now, Elisha. I think China does whatever the hell they want to do with Africa. That's what I think. I think I see China, they're building anything they want to in Africa. The Dutch, they raped the land of the African. They raped the women in Africa, and those African men did nothing. Why? Because they integrated. It doesn't seem like integration works. It doesn't seem like it works. Here's what you better do. You better listen to the men of God.
That's right.
You don't need the proof of what? Proof of what? What you need to do is shut your mouth and stop being so haughty. Stop being so proud and so pompous like a good Southern Christian. And you need to listen to the men of God.
That's right.
So your life is safe. Read what you got,
Ak. Numbers chapter 25, verse 6. And behold, one of the children of Israel came and brought unto his brethren a Midianitish, is that how you say that?
Mm-hmm.
Midianitish woman in the sight of Moses.
So this is a heathen. This wasn't a Moabite Salaki. This was a heathen. Keep going. This is a heathen woman. Keep going.
Brethren, a Midianitish woman in the sight of Moses, and in the sight of all the congregation of the children of Israel, who were weeping before the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. Mm-hmm. Verse 7. And when Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, mm-hmm. the son of Aaron, mm-hmm. the priest saw it, mm-hmm. he rose up from among the congregation.
So this is Phinehas, the son of a priest, a Levite brother. That's what he, them Haitians, brother. Ooh, wee.
Hardcore.
Hard, brother. They hard, man.
Sir.
He rose up and saw, he looking at this heathen, and he seeing his brother.
He couldn't take it.
He couldn't stand it. His jaw was tight. He said, oh, I know what my father taught me.
That's right.
And I know that we obey the God of Israel.
That's right.
And I know he is not allowed to have sex with a heathen. And what did he do about it?
And Salaki, he rose up from among the congregation and took a javelin in his hand.
He did what?
Took a javelin in his hand.
Keep going.
Verse 8. And he went after the man.
He didn't go with him with prayer and scripture. He didn't say, dang, brother, you get down with the swirl?
Right.
Shoot, how is it over there? Because these black women, I'm tired of black women too.
Right.
I'm tired of these Hispanic sisters too. That
Right.
ain't what Phineas did, man. Phineas didn't say, you know, shoot, he didn't turn a blind eye. Ain't that what you talked about last night, Elisha? He didn't turn a blind eye. He didn't see a man of his own race sinning against God and just let him do it. He didn't say, well, shoot, I mean, it's his life.
That's right.
It don't affect me.
Right.
That's what so many of you cowards say about homosexuality. Well, I ain't gay. It don't affect me.
That's them.
That's them. That ain't me. That's just that brother with that heathen woman. He about to get down. I don't have nothing to do with me.
Right.
I hear no evil, see no evil. I mind my business.
That's right.
That's what that nut Kevin get. I learned how to mind my business in prison, man. I learned how to mind my. I don't even see a man could be having sex with a goat. I wouldn't care. And these are the people that you look up to.
That's right.
People who have no conscience. People who would not stop a girl from being raped.
That's right.
I guess if a man was forcing himself on a woman and she cries out for help, you would just say, that ain't none of my business. If some, I know what you do. When a brother is selling drugs in your community, you just mind your business. You don't tell that brother, nigga, you got to stop selling drugs on this block.
That's right.
You better stop selling dope on this block to these young brothers and sisters. You just mind your business. You go ask him for help for your rent money. That's what you do. You turn a blind eye. Not Phineas.
That's right.
Phineas grabbed a javelin in his hand. What else did he do,
Verse 8. And he went after the man of Israel into the tent and thrust both of them.
He did what?
Thrust both of them
He
through.
killed only the man.
Thrust both of them through.
He thrust both of them through.
That's right.
He put the goddamn javelin, which in Hebrew I believe is Yaramak.
That's right.
He put that goddamn Yaramak through both of them, brother.
Right.
Through the man and the woman. He did it. Why? Why? Because he loved his God.
That's right.
He loved the children of slaves. He loved his people. He didn't just allow his brother to sin against God. He did something about it. You better start doing something about all of these sinners that you come in contact with.
That's right.
I ain't telling you to go kill nobody. Why? Because that's against the laws of man.
That's right.
You cannot go and kill somebody because they're a sinner. Now, when Christ returns, you can.
That's right.
When Christ returns, if you receive the power from the Isupk, you're going to be a judge over Israel.
Damn right.
And you're going to be able to put sinners to death.
That's right.
Ooh-wee. You're going to do it. And that's what Phineas did. Phineas said, I see him sinning against God. Now, let me ask you this. Did the brother who was about to get down, he was about to top 5 to that Midianite's tale. He's on top 5 to it. Did he know he wasn't supposed to have sex with a heathen woman? Who knows? He knew then that he wasn't supposed to have sex. When he felt that javelin going through his body while he was on top, brother, imagine he getting it in. He over there about to have little Midianite and Israelite kids. Like all of these men that you look up to that have sex with white women. Women that don't look like their mothers.
That's right.
They getting nothing. You applaud them. You love it. You look for it in your porn searches. You look for white girls with black men. Interracial. That's what you love. You love snow bunnies. You love them. It's snowing out here. Look at all these white girls, cuz. Come out here, man. Come out here, all these white men. Look at this. It's snowing. It's snowing. Damn, look at all these white girls. You're going to be put to death when Christ returns.
That's right.
That's a sin and an offense. And that's an offense for black women. For you brothers to prefer a woman who has nothing to do with you, who calls the cops on you, who puts you in jail, who is responsible for killing Emmett Till, responsible for killing George Steiny, responsible for 3,000 lynchings and castrations of black men, and you go and have sex with them. You're disgusting. And God is going to kill you when Christ returns. And that is what you deserve because you love white women, which is a sin against God. Now, did anybody have to tell you that? Nah. You should learn from OJ.
That's right.
You should learn from Phineas putting that javelin through that brother. That brother learned that day.
Damn right.
Nobody had to explain to him, nah, brother, you know you can't have sex with white women. You're going to find out when she gives you herpes, when she gives you gonorrhea, when she gives you AIDS, when she puts you in jail for crying rape, which is what happens with 90% of you brothers that have sex with white women, you're going to learn that you're never supposed to have sex with a white girl, that you're never supposed to have sex with a heathen, that you're never supposed to have sex with a white man. Serena Williams learned, brother. She got all those blood clots in her lungs. Since she had sex with that white man, guess what? Her career has never been the same since.
Right.
She's learning all right. She got blood clots in her lungs, almost had the baby, almost lost the baby when she almost lost that little white devil when she gave birth to him.
She looks horrible.
She looks horrible. She changed her way of life, all because she's doing something that goes against her God. White people can do whatever the hell they want to do.
That's right.
Chinese can do whatever they want to do.
Right.
God isn't responsible for them. God is responsible for you.
That's right.
And you better start being responsible for your people too. You better start feeling concerned when men and women that are of your race, that you have close association with, when they start sinning against our God. You better take it personal, like Phineas did. Because you know something Phineas knew? Keep reading.
Kind out of one kind. The Salakia. And thrust both of them through, the man of Israel and the woman through her belly.
Mm-hmm.
So the plague was stayed from the children.
So the what?
So the plague.
So the crack epidemic.
The plague.
So the whoring epidemic.
The plague.
So the city girl epidemic.
The plague.
So 500,000 black babies being aborted every year.
The plague.
So the abortion epidemic.
The plague.
So the prison and school pipeline epidemic.
The plague.
So 2.5 million black and Hispanic men in jail epidemic.
The plague.
Through the Serenos.
The plague.
Through the Norteños.
The plague.
Through the MS-13s.
The plague.
Keep going.
Was stayed from the children of Israel.
The Bible says that the plague was stayed from the children of Israel. You know something Phineas knew? He knew that if you sin against our God, we all have to pay a price for it.
Damn right.
There's no such thing as personal salvation. If you have sex with a white woman, O.J. Simpson, my sons are going to go to jail for 50 years for selling crack.
That's right.
If you have sex with a white boy, my daughters are going to grow up to be city girls.
Right.
And hoes and prostitutes.
That's right.
In the strip club, being prostitutes on the street corners, selling their bodies. That's what Phineas knew. You think that you commit a sin and it has nothing to do with anybody else.
That's right.
Brother, it has something to do with all of us. Your pain is my pain. We got the same pain. We have the same blood. We have the same God. And he is going to punish us for your sins. What do you think? That everybody that was on the slave ships, they were all bad and deserved it?
Right.
You think that every single black and Hispanic that were served slavery in America, in the West Indies, in the UK, in Mexico, in Puerto Rico, in Haiti, in Jamaica, you think that they all were bad hombres? Like Donald Trump so eloquently put it? Is that what you think? I know what you think. You think that black people deserve slavery. That's what you think.
That's right.
You think that we were all bad rapists and murderers and liars. Brother, don't you know that there were men on those slave ships who took care of his family? There were black men on those ships that came across the transatlantic slave trade that were absolutely responsible men.
That's right.
That took care of their families. That loved their wife, that loved their sons, that loved their daughters, that were hard-working, earnest individuals. And guess what happened to them, Elisha? They had to be put on a slave ship with a filthy, disgusting rapist.
That's right.
With somebody like R. Kelly, with somebody like Eddie Long. They had to be put on those slave ships with somebody like Malachi York, somebody like Elijah Muhammad. That's what happened to them, brother. Some man who's honest and hardworking, who loves his family, who would never lie, who would never steal, who would never cheat, who would never rape anybody or take anything from anybody. He had to be put on the same ship, neck and neck, side by side, shoulder to shoulder, with feces covering them, period blood and urine covering them, with the same filthy, disgusting sinners that plagued the land of Israel.
That's right.
You think that all of us deserve to be in slavery? Are you out of your goddamn mind? There were sisters on those slave ships, brother, who were beautiful daughters of Zion.
That's right.
Who would have never cheated on their husbands, who would have never committed adultery on their husbands, who took care of their family when their man was gone, who was virtuous and provided for her family, who made sure the kids could read, who was loving, who was a sister like Deborah, who judged matters of women amongst each other to make sure we all stay together as family. Guess what she had to do? She had to get her vagina and her behind plugged next to the same type of woman that was a prostitute, that was a gossiper, the type of woman that gossiped to ruin everybody's reputation, gossiped to ruin sisterhood, the type of woman who was evil, who would call the cops on a brother just to see him get put to death. She had to sit neck and neck next to her, covered in feces and period blood and throw up and urine. She had to do that voyage. Why? Because she's bad? Nah. Because you are an idiot. That's why. Because you are a filthy Christian who thinks that something that affects you only affects you. You do something against God and you have to pay the price. No, you sin against God and we all have to pay the price. Phineas knew that. Moses knew that. Jeremiah knew it. The Kamaya, Nehemiah knew that.
That's right.
Ezekiel knew it. Solomon and King David and Jesus Christ knew it. Now here you are being a filthy sinner, thinking that you have to pay for what you've done. We all have to pay for what you've done. Don't you see the reason why so many sisters get abortions is because those black women in the 70s joined the women's liberation movement? I guarantee you when they joined the women's liberation movement, they didn't know that their daughters would be plagued with not having children because of the amount of abortions they got. They didn't see that. When Dr. King was sinning against God and teaching black people to sin against their God by integrating to the hands of their oppressor, I bet he didn't see that brother in Oklahoma getting murdered like some goddamn dog in the street. I saw a disgusting video. I wish we could put it up on the screen. That brother down in Oklahoma 5 days ago, the cops arrived to his house. His house. He's standing outside his house, minding his business, doing nothing. Didn't have a weapon on him, didn't have a phone on him, didn't have a piece of lint on him. He's outside about to go into his house. Enter into his home. The cops arrived to his place because somebody, some oppressor, called the cops on him saying he had a gun on him. Which is, now I'm thinking about it, what in the hell difference would that have made? He's at his home. They say he had a gun on him. The cops show up to the house with their guns drawn and they blow the brother away.
Good night.
They said, hands up, hands up. He's in the process of lifting his hands up. They say, stop reaching, and they shoot him 3 times. He's on the ground, Ak. On the ground. It made me cry. The brother was on the ground grabbing for his wounds because of the pain that is involved with getting shot.
Right.
And these animals shot the brother on the ground 5 more times. As he has his hands up, he said, I'm done, please. Bow, 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 bow. He's turned over on the ground dead. They drag him into the driveway, put handcuffs on him, and tell the brother to stop reaching. Didn't call for ambulance. Didn't call for EMT. Didn't even call in a code on those stupid walkie-talkies they have to give the brother some help, some medical attention. They put handcuffs on him like an animal, like a criminal, and then told the brother to stop reaching with hands behind his back. The brother died. He died. Go ahead.
Because that's horrible. The white man's the goddamn devil, Salakia. I just have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Did they find a weapon?
That's why I said he didn't even have lint on him out.
Good night.
He didn't have a gun, a phone, nothing. His pockets was empty. Everything was bare. He's going into his house. He is. And let me say something. Even if he wasn't going into his house, what gives you the right to shoot a man as he's lifting his hands up and as he's on the ground holding his wounds? Holding his wounds. What gave the devil who murdered George Floyd the right to keep a knee on his neck for 10 minutes as he clearly was dead? You know what did? Sin.
That's right.
And you Christians are going to learn a hard lesson with the death that you're going to see, with the death that you experience, the death you come in contact with through other blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. You're going to learn that the only hope for brothers like him and for the future generations You're going to learn for your posterity. You're going to learn to keep the laws of God. You're going to learn that that is the only option in this place. That is the only way out. That is the only solution, is to do what the Most High God have been telling us to do all along. I got to watch my brothers get put to death like animals on the ground, hog-tied, hands behind his back, and the oppressor is still saying, don't reach. Don't reach. With a knee on his back, his hands cuffed. Guess what the oppressor said? Don't reach. How in the F could he reach with his hands cuffed behind his goddamn back? The white man is the devil the Bible speaks of. And you blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, you that are in the Christian church, you better learn that if you don't keep the laws of God, guess what's going to happen to you? The same thing that happened to that brother.
That's right.
The same thing that happened to Kevin Samuels. The same thing that happened to Emmett Till. The same thing that happened to George Steiny. The same thing that happened to Khalif Browder. The same thing that happened to Sandra Bland. The same thing that happened to Eric Garner. The same thing that happened to George Floyd is going to happen to you too.
That's right.
Because you're a sinner and you don't keep the laws of God. There's not enough prayer that you can do. You can hear his woman in the background screaming and crying and hollering as the cops put handcuffs on her too. They put handcuffs on her. Didn't call medical attention yet. This is what, 3 minutes in the video. Didn't call for medical attention at all. The lieutenant came on the scene and said, what happened to him? He's dead. They asked the brother, what happened to you? Are you okay? Where are you shot? He's dead. It's been 3 minutes. Oh, we got 7305. We need medical attention here at the part of so-and-so, so-and-so. He's dead. He's gone. He's dead. Never coming back to see his wife. If the brother had children, they're going to grow up fatherless. Why? Because you want to eat pork? Because you want to have sex with a prostitute? My brother has to be put to death like an animal, worse than an animal. There are laws of how you can kill animals in America. There are laws. You can't just go and do whatever you want to any animal. There are laws against that.
Right. My
brother has to be treated worse than an animal just because you want to sin against God. Damn that. Damn that. You're going to pay for the sins that you commit against God.
That's right.
And you better learn that now, because it's going to save a lot of heartache and a lot of trouble here in the future. Christ is returning, man. He's coming back. You're not paying your tithes to the ISUPK. If you're not in these classes, if you're still smoking, what are you doing still getting high? You still selling drugs like it's 1985? What in the hell are you doing? Don't you see, brothers, his blood is on the ground doing what? Crying out to God. Trayvon Martin's blood is on the streets crying out to God. Emmett Till's blood is in the river of Mississippi somewhere crying out to the Most High God.
That's right.
And you're getting high. Your daughters and your sons and your wives, they're somewhere getting sexually assaulted in some man's church. Sexually assaulted in some man's mosque. Sexually assaulted in some man's sports. Sexually assaulted in some man's cathedral. And you're doing what? Having sex with hoes? Brother, what are you, rapping? Is that what you're doing? You making beats and rapping?
Right.
Like that's going to do anything for black people. What you need to do is put on the full armor of God.
That's right.
Get in the ISUPK and serve the Most High power so that this won't happen again. So that sisters won't get murdered with shoppers' bags like Sandra Bland. So sisters in Oklahoma, this happened in Oklahoma too. That brother that I just talked about happened in Oklahoma. You know what else happened in Oklahoma not too long ago? I think about 2 years ago. Some oppressor who was a cop, he was raping and molesting and sexually assaulting poor black women. Over 263 black women. And what are you doing? Buying prostitutes. Don't you know that all you're doing is the same thing that that cop was doing?
That's right.
What do you like, hoes? Why do you love whores so much? Don't you know you're molesting them just like they were a molested little girl when they were 7? You have sex with women who are promiscuous with their bodies, and you think that they were made that way? No, you are the child molester. You're the new child molester. You're the new rapist. You're no better than an Officer Holtzlaw who raped your sisters to the tune of 263 times. you're no different than him. You're no different than the slave master who would rip your wife from your arms and have his way with her. You're no different having sex with your sisters who are promiscuous. Sisters wouldn't be promiscuous if you brothers didn't prefer promiscuous women.
Right.
If you raised daughters up to not be hoes and city girls, they would never have ended up like Cardi B. Now what's Cardi B doing? Now she regrets her life decisions.
Damn right.
And that's what's going to happen to all of you sisters who chose that lifestyle. All of you brothers who live an alternative lifestyle that the white man provides for you. You're going to regret it. You're going to regret it. It's best that you change now.
That's right.
Cardi B wish she heard this 15 years ago before she became a stripper.
That's right.
I bet she prays to the Most High God now that she wished she would have listened to General Muhammad. Go ahead, Doc.
Salakia. Forget Salakia, if I may. I don't want to forget 15 years ago. I bet Cardi B wishes her parents heard the truth. So she never would have had to been molested.
That's
or
right.
she would have never had to be in a strip club.
That's
and
right.
she would have never had to have any regrets before, she was even born.
That's right.
I bet Cardi B and every Israelite that is going through things, but Salakia, sir, if I may, Baba Kashai, you said something so heavy. When you was talking about it, when you was bringing about how all the slaves that came over here in America on slave ships wasn't wicked.
That's right.
You understand? So if we're not, what they teach inside the Christian church, and one thing that they teach is, I came in this world by myself, so I'm going to leave by myself. That's a damn lie. You
That's
understand?
right.
You came here because your parents got together.
That's
you didn't
right.
even get here by yourself.
That's right.
You came here because your parents, had sex.
That's right.
So why the hell you think that, because, you whatever you go through in life that you feel like you can just abandon your nation.
That's right.
You feel like you can just turn your back on your people.
Right.
When the scriptures and the Bible tells you the exact opposite.
That's right.
And I just wanted to read this real quick. I don't
Please.
know if I may. This is Romans chapter 12, verse 10. It says, be kindly affectionate one to another with brotherly love.
That's right.
In honor, preferring one another. We don't prefer one another, and we definitely and damn sure don't prefer each other in honor.
That's right.
We prefer each other in wickedness.
That's right.
We prefer our sisters in a strip club.
That's right.
Being promiscuous.
Right.
You understand? We prefer our brothers selling dope.
That's right.
Smoking weed.
That's right.
Killing each other.
That's right.
We don't prefer each other honorably, man.
Damn right.
Like the scriptures say, man. And the reason we're in this condition is because we don't prefer each other and we're not honorable towards one another, man.
That's right.
And that's all I wanted to say.
Damn right. Give that brother a powerful hand, man, because what he was saying is absolutely the truth. It is the absolute truth. We don't prefer each other in honor, and like the brother said, we damn sure we don't prefer each other at all anyway. God forbid we do. We don't even do that. You prefer white women. You prefer drugs.
That's right.
You prefer to sell drugs to your own people to destroy them. That's what you prefer to do. You prefer to have sex with hoes, whether they be white or black. You prefer to be a lustful bastard.
That's right.
And that's your life. That's the end of you. You don't prefer to achieve something higher. You don't ever do anything that's going to make the nation better. Which is, again, what abortions are. This is something that, black women want the right. Because of the failed leadership of the 1950s and 60s of Dr. King and Malcolm X and the Black Panther Party and Angela Davis and black women in the 70s, because of all of that failed leadership that we had growing up, because of the Christian church and the mosque that we were given, black women now want the right to abort their baby, right? They want to continue to have the right to abort their baby. But this whole thing about Roe v. Wade, right? It's come about again, and apparently they're going to vote against it, and they're going to change it to now where you're not allowed to get abortions in the states that say you're not allowed to get abortions.
Right.
And black women are fighting. Hispanic women are fighting. What if you did something that benefited your nation? This is what you should ask yourself. Is what I'm doing benefiting my nation? Because if you get an abortion, God knows that's not benefiting us at all. To murder one of us is not benefiting. How could you, and this is on the flip side of the brother getting murdered by the cops, how could you hate what the cops do to so many innocent black people if you walk into an abortion clinic willingly? How could you ever hate what the cops do?
Good night.
The cops just murdered that brother. If you watch the cops murder that brother, how now can you go and walk into the abortion clinic? Don't you know you're doing the same thing that the cop did, but
right.
You're doing it 40 years before it happens? You murder black people, the cops murder black people. The KKK murder black people. Guess what black and Hispanic women do? They murder black babies.
That's right.
The KKK murdered black babies. The slave master murdered black people. So you're doing the same thing that they do. How could you be outraged against it? Black women had to kill their babies in slavery. The ones that the oppressor told them to kill. The ones that the oppressor forced our sisters to kill. They had to murder them. White men went in there with sisters unanesthetized, meaning they had no anesthesia. They wasn't under anything to keep from them feeling the pain. And they went in there and cut the sister's womb open against her will.
Right.
As she's screaming and hollering and crying. There's a book about it called Medical Apartheid. You should go and get it if you can stomach it. And the things that the women in our community, in the black and Hispanic nation, in the nation of Israel, black and Hispanic women were forced to do. And now to think that you would go willingly and have that procedure done to your body, you would willingly go and allow a white man, just like 200 years ago, to rip the baby from your vagina. You're disgusting.
That's right.
You are disgusting. You don't care about black lives. You marched with Black Lives Matter a year ago, and you're fighting for abortions. You're insane, and you are disgusting. And pretty soon, God is going to rid himself of you for being such a disgusting, filthy harlot. How about this is what you do? How about you make decisions? How about you have discretion based on wisdom? You could do that, Elisha. Black women are encouraged to do that. You can damn sure say, well, damn, I should never have sex with this man, but I can't abort the baby. Why? Because it's going to affect my nation. I hate when cops kill black innocent men, innocent black and Hispanic men, innocent black and Hispanic women. I can't murder the baby. I would be just like the police. I would be just like Holslaw, just like Darren Wilson, just like Pantaleno. I would be just like them. I would be just like Mike, what's his name? George Zimmerman.
Right.
I would be just like him if I go and murder this black or Hispanic baby. I would be just like him. So I can't commit an abortion. But you don't do that. Why? Because the church have taught us to sin.
That's right.
The church have encouraged us to sin. Those black women that General Mahyman brought out in class that are in Congress that had abortions, they are all Christians. Everybody hear me? Cori Bush is from right here. She's from Missouri. She was the first Salakia. She was the first woman to get up there saying how she didn't even know what the hell was going on. She got up and lied and said she didn't know that a man was having sex with her. And then 9 weeks later, her belly is swollen because she's pregnant. She was that woman that got up there in Congress in front of the Senate and said that. Cori Bush. She's from right here in Missouri. Right here. From the same ghetto as you. The same poverty as you. And guess what she did? She made a decision based on selfish desire. What happened to us preferring one another, loving one another? What happened to all of this? We got to support each other. Well, damn, if you're going to support each other, you got to stop getting so many abortions.
That's right.
Can you stop doing that? Not only is it a sin against God, you're killing your nation.
Right.
14 million of us have been murdered in the abortion clinic. Well, goddamn, imagine another 10 years of you doing it. Another 14 million. You're murdering your own people more than the police. The police couldn't even dream of killing 14 million black people. The white man couldn't even dream of murdering 14 million black people in the span of 30 years, Black women have done it in over a decade. You should be ashamed of yourself.
Right.
The church gives you all that goddamn esteem of black girl magic. Damn that. You need to come in here and be changed by the renewing of your mind. Be changed by the teachings of the men of God. But instead, you walk around proud and haughty as can be and love to brag about all of these goddamn accomplishments. You are a sinner. That's what you are. You understand? Stop getting so many abortions. Stop getting abortions. Stop doing it. Stop murdering your own babies and your own people, your own children. Stop selling drugs. Stop getting high. Stop smoking cigarettes. That's what you ought to stop doing. I'm sorry, that's what you ought to do. You should stop all of this foolishness, and you should become a new person. Now, that is possible, Elisha. That is very possible, and you know that's what I want next. Give me that, what I just quoted in the Bible. Give me the renewing of your mind. Give me Romans. You were just there in the book of Romans. Right? Go ahead.
Romans chapter 12, verse 2. And be not conformed to this world.
Give me a little bit above that.
Verse 1. I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of the Most High.
You say Romans 12 and 1, right?
So
this is what you better understand, black man. You go to Romans chapter 12, verse 1. Follow this brother, all right? And understand what this brother is about to read right here. We're going to break it down right now. Because there's such a, and this is what the Bible says in this same book, Romans, right? In these last days, there's such a push. There's a demon. There's a power that sits on high that makes sure that you get abortions. There's a power that sits on high that makes sure you sell drugs, that ensures that you have to have sex with a 16-year-old girl. It ensures it, man. There's a power that sits on high to make sure that God's people sin so that you get put to death for it, so that you be destroyed for it. This is what you better do. You better fight against it.
That's right.
And this is how you do it right here. Read.
Romans chapter 12, verse 1. I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of the Most High, that ye present your bodies a living sacrifice.
What did Paul say?
That ye present your bodies a living sacrifice.
Paul said that he beseeched you. He demandingly asked of you.
That's right.
That you present your bodies as a living sacrifice. Now, how could your body be a living sacrifice if you're murdering babies?
Right.
You're murdering babies and you're filling it with drugs. You're filling it with too much liquor, being an alcoholic, destroying your brain,
right,
destroying your body with hoes and prostitutes, putting drugs and heroin and shooting up your needles all in your body. Your body's supposed to be presented as a sacrifice.
That's right.
Keep going.
Holy.
What?
Holy.
What did that say?
Holy.
Holy. Who knows what that means? Let's see if anybody pays attention to anything the Isupk says since 1969. Right. What does the word holy mean? See if you got any comments on there on Facebook or YouTube.
Real quick,
Bible shot. Let's see what the word holy means, man. Paul said he beseech you, brethren. He's speaking to his people. He's telling you sisters. He's telling you brothers. Listen, man. We should present our bodies as a living sacrifice. Somebody, number one, break that down. What does that mean? Before we, holy, if you put the answer to holy, you read what they said holy is. But if nobody commented, somebody tell me in here, please, what the word holy means.
So, no one commented on that.
Okay, tell me what holy is.
So, the holy means to be separate.
It means to be separate. Give the brother a hand.
The
word holy means to be separate. What is Paul saying by present your body as a living sacrifice?
Well, Paul's saying in present your body to be a living sacrifice, like we're not supposed to be of this world.
Let's start here. Sacrificing anything means what? What are you doing?
Sacrificing anything means that you
I'm sorry, presenting anything means what? Before you get to the sacrifice, you're presenting something. You present, you just made a chair for your wife. Right? You present it to her. What is the goal?
The goal is you want to give your wife this chair. You want to offer this chair or to impress her.
To do what?
Impress her.
Give the brother a hand. That's the exact word I was looking for. Impress, right? So now who are we supposed to be impressing?
We're supposed to be impressing the Most High.
There you go. Sacrifice. Now let's get to sacrifice. Sacrificing. What is sacrifice?
So sacrifice is, resisting, what you would like to do and doing what, for the simple, just doing what the Lord wants you to do. But
what is sacrifice then? So now what does the word mean?
It means to,
If you don't know a word, look it up. Right? The brother got the first part absolutely right. And holy. He got that right. Holy means separate. Paul said that, I beseech you therefore, brethren, by the mercies of the Most High, that ye present your bodies a living sacrifice. Right? Sacrifices in the Bible, you sacrifice an animal, that means you killed that animal. Paul is saying that you are supposed to be a living sacrifice. So now let's see what the word sacrifice means. But the brother broke what he said was absolutely correct about presenting our bodies. Right? You present something, you're trying to impress the person that you're presenting it to. If you make a chair for your wife, you're trying to impress your wife. If you buy a car for your husband, you present it to him, you want to impress him by how well, if you work a slavery, you do something so well, you want to present your work to your boss to impress your boss. So now our bodies are supposed to be living sacrifices that we present to God because we want to impress God.
That's right.
We want to impress him by our discipline. Impress him by turning down having sex with all of those hoes. We could have sex with hoes in here too. But guess what? We don't. Why? Because we want to present ourselves before the Most High God as a living sacrifice one day. One day we're going to have to answer for how we lived our life on this earth. We're going to have to answer for our conduct in America. We're going to have to answer for our conduct in the United Kingdom. We're going to have to answer for our conduct in Kansas City. We're going to have to answer for our conduct in Puerto Rico.
That's right.
We're going to have to answer for our conduct in Canada. And if you aren't presenting your body as a living sacrifice, then when you answer to the Most High God, it won't be the answer that he's looking for.
That's right.
It won't be the presentation that he wanted. Go ahead. What you got for sacrifice?
Sir. It says, an act of giving up something valued for the sake of something else regarded as more important or worthy.
Read it again.
An act of giving up something valued.
An act of giving up something valued. You understand? That's the first part of the sacrifice. So an act of giving up something valued. Keep going.
For the sake of something else regarded as more important or worthy.
That's what you want right there. We're giving up what the world values.
That's right.
We're giving up hoes.
That's right.
And prostitutes and drugs and fast money, illegal activities. We're giving all of that garbage up. RICO Act, we're giving that up.
That's right.
We're not in any organized crime around here. We're giving all of that desired worldly garbage up. Why? For something what?
Something important or worthy.
Something important or worthy, like the work of God. Doing the work of God. That's what we do in ISUPK. We have sacrificed everything just so we can do the work of the Lord. We have sacrificed family, sacrificed limbs,
That's right.
sacrificed our lives.
That's right.
To do what? So that we can serve God.
Damn right.
Something that's a higher calling. Something that's, we reaching towards something that people in the world of life, they will never understand.
Right.
They say, well, brother, you don't sell drugs no more. Don't you know how much money you was making? You don't have sex with hoes no more, Elisha. What are you doing? You don't drive all them cars no more. And you don't sell drugs to get that money to buy all them cars. And you could have all, look, I got a pack for you. Look, I'll start you back off right. What, you don't do that anymore? You don't get high anymore? What are you doing, sis? You don't sell your body no more? You're not a slut anymore. You don't strip anymore. Look at that body that God gave you. Look at what you was doing, girl. You was raking in all the money.
Right.
And you say, no, I don't do that anymore. Why? Because I'm reaching for a higher goal.
That's right.
I'm reaching for a higher calling.
Damn right.
Life ain't all about fun and sex and orgasms and pleasure. Life is about war.
Damn right.
And in order to achieve that goal, you're going to have some discipline. You're going to have to
sacrifice.
You're going to have to sacrifice. That's what you're going to have to do. And you better sacrifice what? Your body.
That's right.
To present it to God.
Damn right.
That's what Paul said, I beseech you to do. I beg of you to do this thing. You're going to have to do it. I don't want you to be the brother that's going to present himself to God and he's going to answer for having sex with all of those hoes. He's got to answer for that. R. Kelly is going to have to present his body one day. He's going to have to do it. And what is he going to do? He's going to do what? He's going to tell God what? that he had sex with who he could? He had sex with little girls if he could, just to get an orgasm. He ate what he could. He sold drugs to make money. He made money any way he could. That's what they're going to say in the Christian church. I did what I could. I did the best I could. That's what they're going to say. Not me. Not you.
That's right.
Not the followers of Commanding General Yohana.
That's right.
You're going to be able to present your body as a living sacrifice to God. We were talked about by everybody. We were hated by everybody. And we still stood with you, oh God. We were shot. We were lied on. We were called a cult. And we still stood by you. We still served you. We had the opportunity to have sex with whores, but we didn't do it, and we were called crazy. We had the opportunity to sell drugs to our own people, and we didn't do it, and we were called cult members and cult leaders for doing it. We stood by you, oh God.
That's right.
We will be able to present our bodies as a living sacrifice. Keep going.
Kind out of one kind. That ye present your bodies a living sacrifice.
Go ahead.
Holy.
Holy.
Acceptable.
So read that word again. Holy. Holy.
Holy.
Holy. Separate. Separate. We lived our lives separate from everybody else.
That's right.
Everybody else gets high. We don't get high in the ISUPK.
That's right.
Everybody else has sex with who they can. We don't do that in the ISUPK.
That's right.
Everybody else lies and celebrates birthdays and Christmas. Not us. We're holy. We're separate. Keep going.
Kind out of one kind. Acceptable.
What?
Acceptable.
There's something that's acceptable to God.
That's right.
And there's something that's unacceptable to God.
I'm right.
This scripture says it right here. Read that part again.
Acceptable.
Keep going.
Unto the Most High.
So that means there's something unacceptable unto the Most High.
That's right.
I wonder what that thing is. It's the way you Christians have been living your entire life.
That's right.
You've been unacceptable. You have unacceptable behavior in the Christian church. You have unacceptable behavior in the Muslim mosque.
That's right.
You have unacceptable behavior in the Fruit of Islam. You have unacceptable behavior in the Democratic Party and the Republican Party and Planned Parenthood. You have unacceptable behavior to God.
That's right.
There's a behavior that's acceptable to the Most High. There's a behavior that's acceptable unto him. You better learn what is acceptable and what's unacceptable.
Yeah, I'm right.
I'll give you a hint. God has a book of laws that teach you what is acceptable and what's unacceptable. Not how you feel, not agreeing to disagree, not turning a blind eye, it don't affect me, not having sex with who you can, not using your body, not using what you got to get what you want. That's unacceptable behavior. Being a city girl is unacceptable behavior. Committing abortions is unacceptable behavior. It's ungodly. Having sex with nations outside of your own, that's unacceptable behavior. Being a Christian is unacceptable behavior to God. Keep reading.
Kind out of one kind. Which is your reasonable service.
Keep going.
Verse 2. And be not conformed to this world.
What I said earlier. I said that there is a power that sits on high that wants to ensure that you live an unacceptable life unto your God.
That's right.
There is a power that sits on high that makes sure that you have abortions.
That's right.
That you smoke weed. That you become a homosexual. But this is what you better do, black man. This is what you better do, brother. This is what you better do, sister. Read.
But be ye transformed.
But what?
But be ye transformed.
But what?
But be ye transformed.
No, start from verse 2.
Kind of the kind. And be not conformed to this world.
You better not be conformed to this world. I know the earth allows you to be LGBTQ.
That's right.
I know they allow you to be a Christian and have freedom of religion. I know that's the case in America. I know that's the case in the oppressor society. I know they allow you to commit abortions and murder your own babies. I know that's the case in the oppressor society. But God said what?
And be not conformed to this world.
Keep going.
But be ye transformed.
But be you what?
Transformed.
But what?
Transformed.
You're going to have to stop committing abortions.
Transformed.
You're going to have to stop selling drugs.
Transformed.
You're going to have to get the hell out of the Christian church.
Transformed.
You're going to have to stop voting.
Transformed.
You're going to have to stop being a filthy, wicked, disgusting sinner.
Transformed.
Keep going.
By the renewing of your mind.
You're going to have to change, brother. You're going to have to change, sister.
That's right.
You're going to have to live your life by a perfect conduct that is acceptable unto God.
That's right.
How? How are you going to do it? By doing what?
Transform.
You're going to have to change. You're going to have to transform.
That's right.
You're going to have to transform the thought process of how you grew up.
That's right.
I know growing up, there was a certain way you did things. In the Israelite school UPK, there's only one way to do things. There's a way that is right unto a man. There's a way that's right unto God.
That's right.
You're going to have to transform the way you think. You're going to have to transform the way you act. You're going to have to transform the way you talk, the way you communicate. The Bible says, let no corrupt communication seep from your lips. You're going to have to transform your entire person. You're going to have to be what? A new creature.
That's right. That's
what you're going to have to become. You're going to have to change, brother. You're going to have to change, sister. Keep going.
By the renewing of your mind.
By what?
By the renewing of your mind.
You got to do what? You got to change how you think.
That's right.
Which means now you can't think the way you did when you were in the world.
That's right.
You got to come in here and you have to transform by the renewing of your mind. You sit in class and you be changed. You get all of that brainwashing, that Christianity brainwashing off of you. Of you can do what you want. You can use your body to get you can use what you got to get what you want.
Right.
You can live how you want. There's no such thing as sin. Satan wants you to sin. Satan wants you to keep the law. The law is that away with. You can celebrate birthdays. You're going to have to change all of that.
That's right.
You're going to change it. Why? So that you could live a life that is acceptable to God. So that when the time comes for you to present yourself and your body as a living sacrifice, you won't answer like some filthy Christian. You won't answer like Eddie Long. You won't answer like Creflo Dollar. You won't answer like T.D. Jakes. You won't answer like Martin Luther King Jr., who allowed his people to be destroyed by his decisions, that allowed his lust to form his decisions. You could answer like a daughter of Zion.
That's right.
You can answer like a son of the power, Yasha Allah.
That's right.
You're going to have to do it, young man. You're going to have to do it, sis. Keep going.
That ye may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of the Most High.
You know why you have to do it? Because you are a living sacrifice.
That's right.
That's why you have to do it. You were bought with a price. You're the sons of the power. You're Yasha Allah.
That's right.
You can't live your life like the other nations do. You can't talk like the other nations do. You can't behave like the other nations do. You have a God who requires acceptable, perfect behavior. And if you're not somebody who's living that life, you better change by the renewing of your mind. Meaning you better change by getting in the Isupk under commanding General Yohana.
That's right.
And change the way you live your life so that one day you don't have to be able to, so that one day you won't be the type of brother that's going to answer for your behavior and say, I did whatever I could do. I sold drugs so I can make a living. I did what I wanted. I lived how I could. I was raped. I was raped. I was molested. So I just did with the best I could. Now, do you want that to be you? Do you want that to be your children? Or do you want them to have acceptable, perfect behavior to present to the Most High God?
That's right.
I think you would prefer the latter.
That's right.
And if you're a brother or sister who prefers the latter, you better come to class.
Yeah, right.
You better dress in all black if you're a brother. You better have your head covered and a dress on if you're a sister. Clothes on, covered up, head covered, mouth shut, legs shut, with a dress on, and come to class so that you can change and be transformed by the renewing of your mind.
That's right.
And with that, I pass the class over to Priest and Officer Elisha.
Heavy class. ISUPK security announcements. We are the ISUPK, started out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Rule for new brother and sister. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, in a particular brother or sister, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There is another 6 months in which the brother and sister will court each other. After this 6-month period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. Numbers chapter 18, verse 21. Malachi chapter 3, verses 8 through 10. Means tenth in the Hebrew, my Asherah. 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you. Give to the treasury department or teacher. Priest fund. Free will offering for priests, not mandatory. Whatsoever amount you would like. Upcoming holy convocations. Currently, we're observing the Feast of First Fruit. You understand? Kind of the kind. Remind Akim and Akwat to check the bulletin board in the hallway. If anyone wants to be a trooper in the school, to start wearing all black, boots, shirt, pants, headband, war scarf. And with that, Imadium, which means to stand. Men of Israel, we're going to give one courteous salute to the teacher. Men of Israel, Imadium Shabbat, Imadium, Barak, Yahba Shimi Al Shabrakatah.
Yahba Shimi Al Shabrakatah.
Yajimitah. Class dismissed.